The bent press, also known as the screw press, and not to be confused with a bench press, is an old-time lift that's a lot of fun to do. It takes quite a bit of technique, but it's quite impressive when you can pull it off. That's what we're covering inside this video. Hey, it's Logan Christopher from Legendary Strength, and I'm going to demonstrate for you here the barbell bent press, and then I'm going to go into the technique into how to do this move. Got 135 on the bar here, which is a good moderate weight for me. First, you need to shoulder the barbell, and that is something I'll be covering in a different video. All right, so that is the bent press. It is not really a press in the classical sense of the term where you are pressing a weight overhead. Military press is when you keep very straight. Actually, classically, it involves the feet together, and you're pressing while maintaining that complete alignment of the body. Then you also have a side press, where you're bending to the side and pressing. In the side press, you are still using the shoulder and arm predominantly. Meanwhile, the bent press is more of a moving support. So the arm is put back on the lat here, and what you are doing is bending away from the arm. The arm itself, the lower arm, the forearm here, notice it keeps this perpendicular to the ground place, and I'm simply moving around that. So the angle is changing, but the entire time the upper arm stays connected to the lat until I'm at the bottom here. Then we come up in a bit of a side bend, a bit of an overhead squat position. Now the tricky part about doing this is it's really hard to do the technique unweighted or even with a light weight, because tendency, if you're working with something that you can simply press, then you're not going to have to rely on the technique, the form of the exercise in order to get a weight overhead. 135 pounds, I cannot press this weight, so since I'm practicing it, it forces me to do it right. I can't just muscle out the weight. A kettlebell, here I have 70 pounds. Now, once again, I can't just strictly press that. I could also side press that. But the kettlebell, what's great about this, and this is a good tool to use the bent press with first, is the offset center of mass actually kind of helps you keep that arm in place here. So notice the starting position. I am going to kick out the same side hip that the arm is on and have the arm back resting on top of the lat, and the lat should be kind of flexed in this position. Then I'm going to bend away. Notice that I'm creasing at the hips, but also bending the legs, especially this front one. Elbow comes on the legs, that helps support the weight. And then getting down here. So this move actually takes flexibility to do. What you want to avoid is what some people will do. And just because holding it there got a little tired, I'll show on my left arm. Oh, by the way, this is one exercise where there will probably be a very big difference between right and left arms. I would recommend you work the bent press with both arms. Just realize that it is going to be quite a bit different on each side. So, notice as I'm coming down, I could just really kind of press it out here because I'm working with a light weight. But you want to get all the way down here. This transition point, where you're going from this side bent position into an overhead squat, where you can stand up, is one of the harder parts of the bent press. Because not only are you getting the weight to complete lockout, but then you have to transition from a bit of this side position to overhead. That's one of the reasons the bent press is a great exercise, is it's working the shoulder through some odd angles and ranges of motion that most people aren't hitting. So the bent press can actually be a great rehab exercise for the shoulder. Of course, if you're doing it for that, working up to a heaviest weight possible may not be the most appropriate thing, but this is something, even though it's definitely a low rep, even a single exercise, most of the time you can work with repetitions in this as well. As far as breathing, You want to, because it's a long move, you can't really hold your breath or do any sort of pressurized exhale as you're doing this. You're going to be more breathing behind the shield, keeping the stomach tight, and then taking somewhat shallow or small breaths to maintain that tightness as you do the bench press. That's a few details on it. Of course, you could go much more. Foot position, it really is going to depend your ability in this exercise on kind of your torso to limb ratios. That's why guys such as Arthur Saxon, stockier guy, he was able to handle 370 pounds in this lift, which is just mind-boggling. I know just looking at his body type versus mine, I could never, even if I devoted my life to it, work up to that weight. But that's okay. It's not something I have the best build for. I can still work up to a good weight, and I'm going for body weight in this exercise. If you'd like to find out more similar exercises, I'd recommend my book, Deceptive Strength. It covers a lot of these old-time lifts and shows you how you can become freakishly strong while not necessarily looking like you are like me. You can find out more over at legendarystrength.com.